Hey everyone, welcome back to the Content Club with myself, Tina Calder from Excalibur Press. It's great to have you back on board again. Big thank you as always to everyone who has commented, liked, shared or given any feedback on the last podcast. Of course we are up at episode number 15, so there are 14 other fantastic podcasts, if I do say so myself, that you can have a wee look at, have a listen to, and of course, as always, everything that we do on the podcasts is backed up with some blog content on contentclub.excaliburpress.co.uk. That's contentclub.excaliburpress.co.uk. So today we're taking something a little bit differently. So one of the things that I always find is that most people who get into the field of writing, or most people who are interested in writing something for their business, or who gravitate towards being the person that ends up doing the writing, they're usually people who have a creative streak, and they're usually people who have maybe explored some other type of writing in the past, and short story could be one of those. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about 10 secrets of short story writing to help you craft the perfect tale. And I have to give a big thank you goes out to Jessica Hope Stenson, who is a short story writer based in I think somewhere in England at the moment. She may have moved, but I think last time it was Leeds or something. Jessica is the author of A Single Drop of Perfect, which is a collection of short stories, and she's also the author of Without a Trace, which is a fantastic crime novel, and we at Excalibur Press published both, so we're delighted to have done that, and these are some of Jessica's top tips, and I have to say I have used them in a number of ways. I haven't just used them in short story writing or short story editing. I've used them across the board. In recent years there's been a massive revival in the short story, with many writers kind of getting stuck in for the first time. But the thing about short stories is that they can be quite frustrating. It seems to be the easy alternative to writing a novel, but don't be mistaken. So you're packing in a lot of detail, characters, emotion into just a few thousand words, and sometimes only a few hundred is a massive challenge. So it's actually a really good way to have a completed project. I always say that people who want to go into creative writing, or who want to break back into creative writing, or break through into creative writing, should always try and start with some shorter projects, whether it's poetry, short stories, maybe just plot synopsises, things like that. Don't just go hell for leather in, because I'm a great believer in the power of a completed project. So and certainly that's how Jessica worked. She completed her series of short stories, and then went on to write the crime novel, and I think she managed to write that, turn it around in about 8 months or so. So at this point, you might already have an idea of the story. It might have been rattling around for weeks or months or even years. And it's good to have a really good plan of action. We do a free downloadable. It's a quick and easy guide to finishing your fiction novel. If you are into creative writing, I would suggest have a wee look at that. You can get that on contentclub.excaliburpress.co.uk. There'll be links, but predominantly you'll find them in the short story tips blog. So let's get down to the tips. Tip number 1 is don't worry about the plot. So some of the best short stories can take place in one setting with no real key action taking place. As long as you have an interesting character and information to reveal, you're really on track, and you don't need a murder mystery to capture the reader's attention. Our tip number 2 is to experiment. So try writing the story, or at least sections of it, from the perspectives of different characters involved, or in the first person, third person, or close third person. This will help you develop your characters more, and it may show you a more suitable style of writing. And of course, and I love this one because it never dawned on me, this tip, until I read it when Jess said it. She said, colours are your friend. While descriptions such as soft can be difficult for a reader to imagine, it's inevitable inevitably everyone will understand them differently. So if I say, oh, the cushion was soft, your mental picture of that cushion could be very different than mine. But if I say that it was a warm green, you probably are able to have a very similar experience to me when thinking about the colour. So colours make it easier to control what the reader thinks and sees. Saying something is blue or green or whatever communicates a lot more than just saying it's nice. Tip number 4 is beware of adverbs. So if you're using, if you find yourself using adverbs, just ask yourself if you're using the correct verb for what you're trying to express. She walked quickly could be better written as she rushed. So do have a think about things like that. 4 characters or less is probably what you're going to be aiming for in a short story, and it of course it depends on the length of the story. The shorter the story and the fewer the characters, the better. So you don't want to confuse the reader by throwing too many names at them, and having less characters will allow you and the reader to get to know them better. That's one of the things that we do look at in the Quick and Easy Guide to Finishing Your Fiction Novel. We look at some character development and we create some tables and stuff to help keep track. Tip number 6 is that the dialogue must be relevant. So simple hellos, goodbyes, pleases and thank yous and everyday general chit chat can really go unsaid. It's not necessary. If you can describe the dialogue better than the character can say it, then it doesn't need to be in quotation marks. So the dialogue really should only be used to either move the plot forward or reveal more about the character. And interestingly, Jess advises to cut all dialogue by 50%. So we write dialogue essentially how we speak, but in the literary world, characters don't speak like we do. So saying silly things in real life, such as no, yeah, I agree, can be shortened to just yes. And I'm such a victim of that. So then tip number 8 is to be active. She said, she did is more effective than she was saying or she was doing, for example. And tip number 9 is powerful endings. Whether you want a happy, sad or open ending, it's important to make it memorable. You want to think about the strong image that would help to portray the emotion that you want to convey at the end. You want people to be going away with a real, a real sense of the finale of the book. And then Jess's last tip is write, cut. So write everything down. Editing as you go can lead to writer's block. So then edit your story so that everything is there for a reason, and anything that doesn't add value to the story, it has to be cut out. So those are really, really brilliant tips, and I think a lot of them can be brought through into the storytelling medium, which is what we're really looking for to get really powerful blog posts and case studies and client testimonials. So do have a think about how you can use some of these tips in your everyday writing as well as your creative writing. So once again, thank you so much everyone for tuning in and having a listen. I'm really so chuffed that you did. And of course you can check out the Content Club on most social media platforms. We're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, etc. And you can get myself, Tina Calder, on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, you name it, I'm there. Except for Snapchat, I've never quite got that. And all that's left for me to say is thank you so much again, and I look forward to chatting with you again shortly.